here is the general manager of Stanford football, Andrew Luck, on the Sports Leader.
It is an absolute pleasure to be joined by Andrew Luck every week. And we do it right now. The former Indianapolis Colt and current Stanford general manager is on with us right now on Dirty Work with Kerry Crowley and Derek Papa. Andrew, how are we doing today?
You know what? I'm doing all right. We're back on the football field. We get to practice some ball, exercise our demons, and get better.
No, absolutely. And I'm sorry we have to bring this up right away, but tough loss to Hawaii, but a hard-fought game. What were your overall takeaways from the first battle of the season?
You're not allowed to apologize bringing up what happened. You know, we look at it. We look at it straight in the face, and we take it with a broad chest, right? We got to learn from it. No one's happy about a loss. It's not okay, right? That's not why we do all the work. But there's nothing to do about that now, except learn from it, grow from it, right? And that's the beauty of this game. We have to be the best team in the country at getting better every week, and taking what we can from that film, win, loss, or draw, and improve it. And look, what am I proud of our team? I'm proud of our fight. I'm proud of our physicality. I'm proud of what we put out there on the run game at times. I'm proud of how our defense flew around and you know, created a 7. You know, you get 7 points on defense, you give yourself a chance to win, no matter what. I do know that. And look, we got a lot to clean up, and there's no doubt about that.
You know, Andrew, we're doing this show this afternoon from Oracle Park. We're on the patio here, and a lot of the season we spent our time talking to Giants President of Baseball Operations Buster Posey, who was a star player for the Giants, and this is his first experience watching games from the booth and taking in baseball from a different perspective. What was it like for you on Saturday out in Hawaii watching the Cardinal on the field, a program that you loved, that you played for, that you're now experiencing in a different capacity, knowing that you couldn't go down there and impact the game yourself? What were the emotions like for you?
It was definitely a unique and different experience, or a different capacity, as you say. I'm certainly used to the combination of jitters and, you know, that nervous excitement, butterflies, as some would say it. And then, you know, as a player, I always felt, oh, great, I get to run out here, and I wanted to get hit and then stand back up and say, okay, I can survive getting hit in a football game. Let's go play. There's none of that when you're GM. You don't get hit, you know. So that was different. It was fun to watch our guys work. It was fun to watch our coaches work. Really, I think the most odd part was, you know, win or lose, you're used to being physically sore after a football game, and I didn't get hit, so I wasn't sore. just dealing with the emotions of a loss, you know, not the physical side.
Talking to Andrew Luck on the UMA guest line. So, what were your early impressions of your quarterback, Ben Gulbranson? It's his first season as Stanford quarterback, transferring from Oregon State.
Yeah, you know, I thought he showed great command of our offense and our operation. I want to say we avoided pre-snap penalties, you know, that whole thing. But, you know, was it good enough for us to win the football game? Probably not, right? And he's critical of himself. We certainly hold our standard high. I know he wants a few throws back. I know he wants a few plays back, like everybody, you know, on the team. And the beauty of it is we're all in this together. And I'm looking forward to a great practice today from him, and stack some stuff, and then going and showing back on the field when we're up there.
You know, one of the things that jumped out to me from watching Saturday's game was just how often you guys were in I formation, how often you were using multiple tight ends, multiple running backs, and it was different from watching Stanford teams of recent years. And I wonder, from your perspective, Andrew, was this something that you knew that Frank Reich would bring back to the program when you hired him as the interim, or was this something that you identified even before hiring Frank Reich, that you wanted the personality and the philosophy of Stanford football to be grounded in pro-style run-first team?
You know, I had an inkling when I took the job, but I certainly needed to see our personnel and our players on the field, you know, and certainly when it comes to offense, the O-line, the tight ends, and, you know, what have been traditional strengths of Stanford football programs going back a long ways, you know, if you will. And then when Frank got here, he certainly, our head coach has the autonomy to run the offense and defense that they know best. And you know, having played in a Frank Reich offense, I had more than an inkling that he'd want to go in this direction. And so, but it was you know, there were some positives on the ground game. There was some movement. Our guys ran hard. We put a 20-play drive together in the fourth quarter to take a lead, which had the chance to be the sort of back-breaking drive, and certainly we didn't finish it. It left a sour taste in our mouths, but I'm proud of what we did in those regards with with O-line, tight ends, and our wide receivers. You don't have a quality run game unless guys are going and blocking, and they did a heck of a job of that.
How similar is the offense that Frank is running right now to the one that you ran with him in Indianapolis?
Yeah, they resemble each other very well, very well. There's like the terminology, a lot of it is the same. There's certainly different wrinkles and different things, and Coach Wright's married a lot of stuff that the guys are used to here and our staff is used to here, but it definitely resembles it.
Well, what is your thought on the fact that you can open a season in college football in the year 2025 in Hawaii, a time zone over from you, 3 hours behind us, and play most of your road games in the same season 3 hours ahead of you on the complete opposite side of the country? It's crazy what college football has become, huh?
It's certainly different than when I came out here to play the old Pac-12. And I doubt our administration, I doubt we would have scheduled this Hawaii game knowing we were going to be in the ACC, but it's the draw that we were dealt, and we're embracing it. And look, we're not looking at it as an excuse in any way. We had an opportunity to fly across the ocean and go to this beautiful island and play a worthy football team, and they came out on top, right? That's part of sports. That's part of life.
Switching gears a little bit, I want to get your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh. He was back in the Bay Area over the weekend coaching the L.A. Chargers. Just what are your memories of playing with him back in the day, and have you kept up with what he's doing with the Chargers currently?
I certainly have kept up with Coach Harbaugh. He had a profoundly positive impact on my career. He recruited me, came to Stanford. I had 3 years with him as our head coach, and Coach Harbaugh leaves a mark everywhere he's been. There's a lot of great stories about Coach Harbaugh, and I'm sure the folks at the Niners say the same things, and at Michigan and now in San Diego. So I'm excited to watch them. Greg Roman, offensive coordinator, was my offensive coordinator, run game coordinator here at Stanford as well. So I certainly pay attention and stay close, and I think excited to watch what he's going to do down there. I keep wanting to say San Diego, too. It hasn't hit my head yet.
Oh, no, it's the same thing with us.
Yeah, we all do. We all do. He has made so many inroads on the recruiting trail through the years, and obviously doesn't have to do it now as head coach of the Chargers, but for the things that he does to catch to catch quarterbacks' attention and to catch recruits' attention. Andrew, what did he do when you were being recruited to make it known that he was serious about getting you to step foot on campus at Stanford?
Yeah, you know what? He didn't have to work too hard for me. I knew I was coming here as soon as I remember this. I remember when he got hired, my dad, I think it was really with computers and internet, and, using sports news on the internet. I remember my dad seeing it maybe on ESPN.com or something and yelling out to me, "Hey, Andrew, Jim Harbaugh was just hired at Stanford." I was a sophomore in high school at the time, and I had no idea who Coach Harbaugh was. I was a little young. And he said, "Oh, he was a great quarterback, blah, blah, blah." And so we visited out during spring break, and I remember sitting in his office with my father as a sophomore during spring break, and there was a bunch of construction going on. If you guys remember, he built this sort of an infamous bathroom was built in his office that Pete Carroll commented on at some point. It's worth a good read on the internet. It's pretty good. But what struck me was his enthusiasm. There was a deep, deep, deep conviction that he was going to win, come hell or high water, that he was going to win here at Stanford. And I wanted to be part of that, and I wanted to be developed, and I wanted to be challenged. And I certainly, that's certainly part of why I came to Stanford and has greatly affected how I approach my role in recruiting as well.
Talking to Andrew Luck on the UMA guest line. I want to get your thoughts on this. Brock Purdy just did an interview with Albert Breer talking about how a season ago he had to put a lot on his shoulders because he was upset with the Super Bowl loss, and it may have affected him forcing more throws and doing more of the wrong things, and that made him better he thinks it's going to make him better going forward. Can you relate to that when you guys had your struggles and your playoff failures against the New England Patriots, that the next year you wanted to just put it all on your shoulders and you found a way to just kind of maneuver away from that?
Yeah, I think it's an absolutely natural response of a quarterback, especially one who cares deeply about the team and performance. And, there's nothing easy in the game of football. There's certainly nothing easy in the NFL. And, from afar, it does seem like Brock is an incredibly self-aware person who strives to get better, and it takes a level of self-awareness to understand he maybe perhaps was pressing last year. But his journey will be a fun one to watch, and he's an incredible quarterback. I'm glad he's here in our backyard.
Andrew, I think the entire college football landscape is still learning about what the job of a general manager is. And I'm sure in your first months on the job, first year on the job, you are as well. But what does week 2 look like for you now that you're headed into a matchup against BYU? What does it look like for you on a day-to-day basis? How does your job change from what you were doing this summer on the recruiting trail to dialing in and getting your team set up for the week? Like, what is the divide in responsibilities for you right now?
Yeah, during training camp, I definitely rotated towards more football and helping our, and helping our coaches out and helping Coach Reich out and being on, being at every practice, every minute, and being in a fair number of meetings. And as the season started, it's certainly focused on fundraising. It's staying in touch with recruits, especially when our coaches are game planning and preparing our players to play. It's continuing to build bridges on the academic side, build bridges in our community, get into the city, and Coach Rivera and I got together in the city last week to spread the good word about college football in the Bay Area. And so, look, I'm still learning about what my job entails, but I do know it's making sure we're all rowing in the same direction and giving ourselves a chance to succeed.
Talking to Andrew Luck on the Uma guest line. So the NFL preseason just ended, and then I remember your first preseason game ever. I want to say you threw a touchdown pass on your first throw to Vic Ballard, and then you weren't playing much preseason games after that. But what was preseason like back when you were playing? Did you find value in it? Did you find more value in the joint practices? How did you view preseason back in your playing days?
It's funny. God, that feels a long time ago, and I do remember that pass. It was a little screen. I want to say it was Donald Brown, though.
Okay, yeah, you remember it.
And he maybe pulled his quad like at the 10-yard line, but still scored. I think there is value in preseason, but context is everything. For a rookie quarterback, I know I wanted to be out there, and then as my career went on, it was, maybe I don't need to be out here at all. And certainly 4 preseason games was a lot, right? And we're down a count there now. But look, I'm curious where the NFL goes with scheduling and preseason, and certainly watching as a fan.
Today's roster cut-down day around the NFL. A bunch of teams trimmed from 90 to 53 guys. And I wonder, as a quarterback, did you ever lobby your general manager or head coach to keep a specific lineman or keep a specific wide receiver that you wanted to work with? Or do you feel like, okay, I'll let the experts in the room handle that, and that's out of my hands?
Yeah, no, I let the experts in the room handle that. Look, my role now is as a college GM and thinking about personnel. Like, those questions answer themselves. There's no politicking that ought to be done on that. The football, what the character, the teammateship, that all bubbles and rises to the surface, and takes care of itself. And I think part of me too is, being on a team and believing in team means we all have our roles and we respect each other's roles. And it doesn't mean you don't have hard conversations. Some really tough conversations with, Ryan Grigson or Chris Ballard, the GMs that I had, or the head coaches. But the trust, trust is also the coin of the realm.
You mentioned you're still figuring out the day-to-day process and the week-to-week process of this new job for you, but with the bye week this week, have you thought about how you're going to handle it? Are you watching more tape? Are you watching games around college football? What do you plan on doing this weekend as you try to game plan for the future with Stanford?
Well, yeah, no, we're practicing. We're in a one-day-at-a-time mentality, and I'm excited. I'm watching our guys warm up right now. I'm excited to see them go practice and sweat out the demons and learn. And we've got a great practice rhythm this week where we have to get better at football. It's also an opportunity, for our coaching staff to sort of take a deeper dive on what we've done to this point and what we need to continue to do to get better. And then for me, I do have to take some personal time, so I get to move houses on Friday.
Oh, nice!
I just did that. Need any recommendations, Andrew? We can help you out.
Facebook Marketplace is the way to go.
No, It's good, and I get to spend a little more time with my 5-year-old and 3-year-old this weekend. That'll be real.
That's fantastic. This is a purely personal question. You're an architecture guy. Does that factor into your decision on looking for a house? Does that really, like, the exterior of a house? Does that matter a lot to you?
No, I don't think so, but I appreciate the question.
All right, fair enough. Well, Andrew, it's an absolute treat every week to talk to you, and hope for better success. But we'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much.
No, we're working, we're grinding, we'll get there. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Thanks, Andrew. That's Andrew Luck joining us on the UMA guest line, and you'll hear Andrew Luck every Tuesday at 3:50 right here on the Sports Leader.